This conference has been made possible through a donation from my late mother, Heidi Hillman. My name is Josh, and along with my brother Saul and my father Mayor, we're very proud that the donation has been used in this way, and that Heidi's name is associated with the issues being discussed, and more importantly, the exciting ideas for addressing the challenges, which without a doubt will help refugees and asylum seekers in the future. Heidi was a graduate of the Open University. Her passion for the OU and its mission to help bring learning to all, wherever they came from, motivated her donation. She was also a refugee herself. She was born Heidi Krott in Vienna in Austria in 1937. Her family was Jewish and had lived in Vienna for several decades. Her mother Irma's parents ran a well-known konditorei, that's a patisserie, and we have a wonderful picture of Heidi's mother as a little girl at the very beginning of the 20th century, standing in front of it with her parents and baby brother, and another of a cake that Heidi's grandfather baked for Emperor Franz Joseph. Her father, Heinrich, studied and practiced medicine, was in the medical corps in the First World War, and in 1925 qualified as a dental surgeon. The increasing persecution of Jews in Germany and Austria in the 1930s doesn't need to be described here, but for Heidi and her family, the Anschluss in March 1938, when Austria was incorporated into the Reich, and the explosion of violence in November that year, known as Kristallnacht, were horrific watershed moments. Their apartment was confiscated and taken over by a Nazi officer, and the family was taken in by Irma's ex-husband, who was father of Heidi's two elder sisters. Shortly after that, Heinrich escaped, travelling alone via Scandinavia to eventually reach Britain. Heidi's sisters were separately sent ahead to London with the Kindertransport, aged 9 and 6. That left Heidi and her mother, who did not make it out until a few months later in spring 1939. Adolf Eichmann issued their exit permit. A couple of weeks later, he was deporting thousands of Jews to death camps in Poland. The wider family was relatively fortunate in that many survived, but not all did. In London, it was initially a struggle for Heinrich to acquire the credentials to be able to practice in the UK. He had to study dentistry again, but this time in another language, in order to take the necessary professional dental exams. He gradually built up a dental practice. At first, most of his patients were Austrian refugee friends, including several members of the Freud family and many writers, musicians, actors and artists, including his friend Kurt Schwitters, the German painter, a non-Jewish exile and refugee who in payment painted a wonderful portrait of Heidi, aged 6. At the end of the war, the family decided to stay in London and with the help of the Association for Jewish Refugees, worked to secure permanent residence. Heinrich changed his name to Henry, and in 1947 the family were granted British nationality, and shortly after that, Henry became an NHS dentist. Heidi left school at 16 and so did not go to university first time round. She worked as an editor on various journals in construction and architectural design, brought up her two sons and became a teaching assistant. But decades later she signed up at the OU to study humanities with art history, graduating at the age of 63. It was a very proud day for everyone who knew her. Heidi had always been committed to lifelong learning. She was always undertaking a dizzying range of evening classes, courses, workshops in skills and subjects way too long to list. But they included a passion for the technique of collage, a nice link back to Kurt Schwitters, who was a doyen of this technique and no doubt an inspiration. The experience of being an OU student was transformative for Heidi in terms of learning, reading, cultural engagement and confidence. She felt strongly that everyone should have that opportunity to improve their education, to remove barriers to employment. She hated to see talent wasted and had particular empathy and solidarity with those who, like her family, had arrived in this country in adverse circumstances and having to start again. She would have loved to have attended this conference. So on behalf of Heidi and the rest of the family, I'm delighted to open this important conference, which I am sure will help make a difference and improve access to higher education and employment for forced migrants. Our thanks to the Open University and to Swansea City of Sanctuary for organising it. We wish you the very best of luck and will be avidly following the progress of the OU in its ambitions to become a University of Sanctuary.